Hello, children. How are you? I hope you all are good and fine. Let us begin with the beautiful poem If I Knew. This beautiful poem is recited by the poet Maud Wyman. Maud Wyman was born on 25th May 1879 in New York, USA, and he died in 1949 in New York, and he had one child. He was one of the best poets. This beautiful poem is recited to spread happiness all over the world. Now let me tell you about the thinking of the poet behind this poem. The poet wants to spread happiness all over the world and wants to remove all the frowns, sadness, worries from everyone's faces. Now let us begin with the poem If I Knew. If I knew the box where smiles are kept, no matter how large the key or strong the bolt, I would try so hard it would open, I know for me. So, children, here the poet wants to say if he knew a box where smiles are kept, no matter how large the key or strong the bolt. The poet here explains that if he knew such a kind of box where smiles, happiness are kept, it doesn't matter to him how big the key is or the strong the lock is, he would try so hard so that it would open for him, and definitely he knew that the box would open for him. Let me introduce you the rhyme scheme of the poem. See the last word of the first line, that is kept. Now see the last word of the second line, key. Kept and key, they are not sounding similar, so let us assume kept is rhymed as A and key is rhymed as B. Now the last word of the third line is hard and the last word of the fourth line is me. They are also not sounding similar, but the last word of the second line and the last word of the fourth line, that is key and me, they are sounding similar. So the rhyme scheme is A B C B. Then over the land and sea broadcast, I would scatter the smiles to play, that the children's faces might hold them fast for many and many a day. Now what the poet would do if he knew such a box where all the smiles and happiness is kept, he would spread it over the land and sea, and he will spread over the very far area, and what he will do, he will collect all the smiles from the children's faces and they will hold very tightly for many days. So children, underline the word broadcast, and the meaning of broadcast is to send out through various means. And write down the meaning of bolt, that is lock. If I knew a box that was large enough to hold all the frowns I meet, I would gather them everyone from nursery, school and street. Now the poet says if I knew another box which is very big to hold all the frowns which he met, he would gather them everyone from nursery, school and street. He says if he knew such a kind of box which is very big, he would hold all the frowns in that box. He would gather all the frowns from every corner, from nursery, school going child and from old people who are going on the street. He would gather all those frowns. Underline the word frowns and write the meaning angry look. Frowns means sadness, disappointments, and displeasures. The poet would collect all the frowns in a box and he would lock the box and he would put all the frowns in that box. Now, children, the rhyme scheme of the stanza is, now see the last word of this stanza, enough. Now it is not sounding similar with the last word of the second line, that is meat. So assume enough as A and assume meat as B. Now the last word of the third line is everyone, and it is also not sounding similar with any of the words from nursery, school and street. Now see the last word of the fourth line, that is street. It is sounding similar with meat, that is meat and street. So here the rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B. Then folding and holding, I would pack them and turn the monster key and hire a giant to drop the box to the depths of the deep, deep sea. Now what does the poet want to do? He will fold all the frowns and he will put in the box. He will pack all the frowns and he will lock that box and he will turn the monster key. He will keep such a big key for that box, and after that he will hire a giant. He will hire a giant to drop the box. He will leave that box where? To the depths of the deep, deep sea. He will put all those frowns in that box and he will leave that box to the depth of the sea. And the summary of the poem is, what does the poet wants to convey us? He says that he would gather all the sorrows and sadness from every children's face and then pack them in a huge box. He would call a giant to throw this box containing sorrows into the deep ocean. Thank you, students.